Good day, everyone. I am Dr. Sarah Marie Gador, an associate professor of Siquijor State College, located in a small island province of Siquijor, Philippines. I am here to present the result of my study entitled Food Safety Knowledge and Handling Practices of Food Handlers in Food Establishments in Siquijor, Philippines. The World Health Organization reported that 1 in every 10 people fall ill globally due to foodborne diseases, while more than 91 million people are affected in developing countries despite various research and intervention measures toward food safety. The increasing number of food poisoning outbreaks and food-related scares has led to calls for better hygiene and quality practices. Over the years, food safety remained a critical issue, with outbreaks of foodborne illness resulting in substantial cost to individuals, the food industry, and the economy. In the province of Siquijor, there are numerous food service establishments that serve meals to customers. However, there is no empirical investigation conducted which evaluated the food safety knowledge and handling practices of food service workers. Interestingly, food handlers seem to think that they know how to handle food safely, but previous studies provided evidence to support that errors due to human handling are often cited in several foodborne diseases, and some studies elaborated that food handlers' self-reported food handling behaviors do not support this confidence. Therefore, obtaining information on food safety knowledge and practices is essential in attempt to reduce risks associated with improper food handling in food service establishment through developing effective health education programs. The problem statement of these studies are as follows. Assess the food handler's level of food safety knowledge in terms of contamination or cross-contamination, transmission of foodborne diseases, time temperature control, and personal hygiene. It also determined the safety handling practices of food handlers in food service establishments in the province of Siquijor. Ascertain the relationship between food handlers' level of food safety knowledge and their food handling practices and find out the socio-demographic characteristic of food handlers that influence their knowledge on food safety. The method and materials used in this study. The study utilized the descriptive survey method with the use of questionnaire as the principal instrument to gather data from the respondents. The survey is the most widely used method to determine food safety knowledge and self-reported food handling practices of food workers. The instrument used in the study was adapted from the previous studies of Acabanda et al. And Thelwell-Reed. The questionnaire used in the study was divided into different parts. For the sample of this study, the participants of the study are the different food handlers working as part-time or permanent employees in food establishments in the entire province and were actively involved in the preparation and serving of food items and beverages. A sample of 156 food handlers participated in the study, of which they are working from food service establishments such as bakery, restaurant, eatery, snack bar, food stand, catering, cafe, and resorts. Due to pandemic, many establishments did not continue in its operation. Hence, the participants of the study only include those food handlers who are presently employed at the conduct of the research investigation. As to the site of the study, the research was conducted in the food service establishment in Siquijor. Siquijor is the island province in central Visayas that lies southeast from Cebu and Negros and southwest from Bohol. Many tourists visit the island for its healing wonders. It is one of the 4 provinces in Region 7 whose major economic activity largely depends on tourism. The booming tourism sector of the province in the past years has allowed business ventures in the food service industry. However, Due to the pandemic brought about by COVID-19, many business establishments in the food service industry has closed and stopped its operation, considering that the majority of their customers are local and foreign tourists. Due to travel restrictions, which deny the interests of local and foreign tourists, the food service industry is greatly affected. The results of discussion of these studies. The age profile of the respondents revealed that a considerable number of food handlers are young adults belonging to the age group below 30 years old, which contains 74 or 47.4%. On the other hand, the sex profile of the food handlers have shown that food handlers were dominated with females with 60.9% as compared to male food handlers with around 39%. Meanwhile, a study found out that majority of the food handlers is single, which is 56.4%. Considering the educational attainment of food handlers, it was revealed that nearly 60% of the food handlers have not earned a college degree. Result of this study is consistent with the findings of previous studies reporting low educational backgrounds of food handlers. Moreover, the findings of this study indicated that food handlers showed less experience in food handling, with close to 65% had 1 to 2 years of food handling. Previous investigation reported the same result with the study. Taking into account the employment status of food handlers, the study indicated that majority, 64.1%, had worked as full-time employees. With respect, food handlers' attendance in training related to food safety, results revealed that 75% of the food had attended food safety training course. The study revealed that 90% of the food handlers were knowledgeable that hand washing and wearing of gloves reduces the risk of food contamination. Meanwhile, less percentage of food handlers correctly answered the items related to contamination due to eating in workplace, preparing in advance, and reheating of foods. Overall, 60% of the food handlers possess sufficient knowledge on contamination or cross-contamination. Considering the transmission of foodborne diseases, 80% of the food handlers were knowledgeable with the risks associated with food poisoning. Meanwhile, only 40% of the food handlers correctly answered the item statement, "Cooked food do not have microbes." Overall, only 50% of handlers possess sufficient knowledge on the transmission of foodborne diseases. Most items on food safety knowledge on time and temperature control were incorrectly answered, or the responses simply do not know. Specifically, only 3 items registered at least 50% of correct responses. Notably, greater majority of the food handlers have low or insufficient knowledge. These findings corroborates with the result of Bass et al., which revealed that food safety knowledge questions related to time temperature control were frequently incorrectly. A great majority of food handlers were knowledgeable on the desirable action towards food safety, such as proper hand washing after sneezing or blowing nose, and after toilet use, proper drying of hands, wearing of gloves, and change of footwear when leaving the kitchen. Overall, food handlers demonstrated good knowledge on personal hygiene, with almost 58% having sufficient knowledge. The handling practices of food handler revealed that the majority of food handlers reported satisfactory practices with respect to handling practices related to proper attire when handling food, such as wearing of gloves, 84%, apron, 85.9%, mask, 90.4%, hat or head covering, 77.6%. Similarly, Majority of food handlers displayed satisfactory handling practices relative to cleaning and sanitation, which includes cleaning of the food storage area before storing new products, which contains 84%, sanitizing the service utensils, 78.2%, checking the shelf life of foods at the time of delivery, 73.7%, and disinfecting cutting boards, 80.1%. Other self-reported satisfactory practices of food handlers include washing of hands properly before using gloves, 88.5%, checking the expiry dates of products, 85.9%, using handkerchief when suffering from a cold, 84%. On the other hand, some food handlers showed unacceptable practices with 44.2%, eat or drink in the workplace, 61.5%, wear nail polish when handling food, 57.7%, prepared meal in advance, 35.3%, still report to work despite being ill, and 34% wear jewelry while handling food. The relationship between food safety knowledge and hygienic practices of food handlers is statistically significant. The R correlation coefficient of 0.257 indicated a moderate positive relationship food safety knowledge and hygiene practices of food handlers. The finding of this study is consistent with the findings of recent studies explained in the current literature. Studies have shown that knowledge plays a vital role in the cognitive processing of information in the attitude-behavior relationship. Besides, it has traditionally been assumed that knowledge is automatically translated into behavior. As the influence of socio-demographic characteristics on food safety knowledge of handlers, it was found out that the food safety knowledge of food handlers is significantly related to educational attainment and years of experience, but not with age, sex, marital status, employment status, and trainings. Years of experience had the highest contribution to the food safety knowledge of food handlers compared to highest educational attainment. The food industry has more rooms for improvement, particularly on the aspects of food safety and handling practices which need to be enforced and regulated. In general, food handlers in Siquijor, Philippines possess sufficient knowledge on contamination or cross-contamination and personal hygiene, but with low or insufficient knowledge on temperature control and transmission of foodborne diseases. In the conclusion and recommendation of this study, the food handlers reported satisfactory practices relative to handling practices associated with the proper attire when handling foods and cleaning and sanitation of utensils, but some food handlers showed unacceptable practices by eating or drinking in the workplace, preparing meal in advance, wearing of jewelries and nail polish when preparing food, and reporting to work despite being ill. Food handlers' handling practices is positively correlated with their knowledge on food safety. The food safety knowledge of food handlers is significantly related to educational attainment, years of experience, and position at work, but not with age, sex, marital status, employment status, and trainings. The study recommends the immediate needs for continuous regular food safety and hygiene workshops and trainings to increase the knowledge and awareness among food handlers, with special attention paid to those with lower levels of education, particularly on the aspect of time and temperature control and transmission of foodborne disease. That would be all. Thank you for viewing my video presentation.